AAT case, PKWK and Innovation in Science Australia, 2021. This presentation will seek to provide information on the AAT decision on the case between PKWK and Innovation and Science Australia from the 24th of March 2021. The decision was in respect of a dispute between a company that registered R&D activities, being PKWK, and the government agency that assesses activities, being AusIndustry on behalf of Innovation and Science Australia, or ISA, over whether the activities met the criteria under the R&D tax incentive legislation. Whilst the decision was ultimately in favour of the company, reviewing the principles and findings of the decision can be useful to companies and their advisors to better understand how AusIndustry assess eligibility so as to minimise the instance of costly disputes over eligibility. A full transcript of the decision is available on AusIndustry or AusLEE website. This presentation will provide the following: an overview of the dispute, information of note from the case, key points to assist in clearly describing your work within an application. The director of the R&D company, PKWK, had established a business to remediate contaminated soil. During the latter stages of construction of a soil treatment plant, PKWK undertook certain activities to determine whether pyrolysis technology, which involves decomposing organic material by heating it in the substantial absence of air, could be applied to the processing of municipal solid waste. PKWK sought to register certain activities as core or supporting R&D activities under the R&D tax incentive. ISA determined that the activities sought to be registered were not core or supporting R&D activities and refused registration. This decision was confirmed by an internal review at ISA. As a result of this, PKWK sought review of the internal review decision in the AAT. The dispute between PKWK and ISA related to a registration of activities for the financial year ended 30 June 2015 in respect to the following registered activities: Core Activity 1.1, Process Design, Modelling and Mechanical Design in respect of a soil treatment facility using pyrolysis technology. Supporting Activity 1.1.1, Project Evaluation and Documentation. Supporting Activity 1.1.2, Project Management. ISA's refusal to register, which was affirmed during an internal review on the basis that there was no core activity, since the applicant had not demonstrated that the outcomes of its experiments cannot be known or determined in advance on the basis of current knowledge, information or experience, and that the proposal only involved optimising technology and processes known to work to account for different composition of municipal solid waste streams. The project activity relates to operational challenges that a qualified professional could overcome using their experience and knowledge in the field, and the applicant has not provided a detailed description of any experiments undertaken to address a scientific theory. The applicant had not demonstrated that the activity was conducted for the purpose of generating new knowledge, and the knowledge being sought does not go beyond validating existing processes and knowledge in its particular circumstances. The R&D entity then applied to the AAT to have AusIndustry's decision set aside. The AAT's primary issue in the matter was to consider if the R&D entity had conducted an eligible core R&D activity in accordance with the legislative criteria in the Tax Administration Act. Extracts of note from the ruling include the following. The fundamental elements of a hypothesis were identified in a consultancy agreement and several other documents, which was noted as being a contemporaneous document by the AAT. Errors in the work underlying R&D activities whether fundamental or otherwise, does not necessarily mean that the work was not carried out in a manner consistent with a systematic progression of work based on established principles of science. The purpose of the research and development activity can be established by viva voce evidence, which means orally in court. The process of looking at variables, making calculations, reworking the variables and inputs to achieve new calculations involving, to a significant level, trial and error for the purposes of achieving targeted optimal designs does accord with the definition or concept of experimental in this context and within the meaning of Section 355-1A, the AATA Act. The applicant contended, and the tribunal agreed, that when one considers the language adopted in Section 335-251 of the AATA Act, the outcome could not be known or determined in advance on the basis of the then current knowledge. The activities did lead to the generation of new knowledge in the design of the proposed treatment plant on a commercial scale. Indeed, Professor Haynes did concede that the facility designed by the applicant is unlike any existing MSW pyrolysis facility, and assuming it worked, would represent an improvement to existing or known processes for the treatment of MSW. In a commercial environment, not every step will be recorded. This is understandable and an explanation that the tribunal accepted. There was a modelling undertaken by PLPD which established that the additional energy required to condense the syngas and convert it into a saleable, consistent fuel product was unworkable. The tribunal found that the definition of new knowledge in Section 355-251B of the AATA Act cast a sufficiently wide dragnet so as to capture new knowledge in the form of something that cannot be achieved as much as what can be. The AAT found that the correct and preferable decision is that the activities comprising Core Activity 1.1 were core R&D activities within the meaning of Section 355-25 of the Income Tax Assessment Act 1997, conducted during the income year ended 30 June 2015. The decision in this matter was a good result for the R&D entity. However, as disputes over eligibility and resorting to the AAT process is resource consuming, this decision serves as a timely reminder that hypotheses for core R&D activities should be clearly articulated and supported in contemporaneous documentation. During the registration process, a clear description should be provided to AusIndustry of how core R&D activities generate new knowledge. During the registration process, a clear description should be provided to AusIndustry of why the outcome of core R&D activities could not have been determined in advance based on publicly available knowledge. The contact details for the Program Administrator and Swanson Reed can be found here. Thank you for watching this presentation.